Today we're going to talk about the power of lighting Shabbos candles, how it has the ability to negate impurity and furthermore to actually transform the impurity and turn it into light. A Mitzaira is someone who has tzaras. Tzaras is a spiritual impurity connected with a skin disease. On the pasuk of Michutz Lamachana Meishave, which is referring to an individual who has tzaras, and the Torah states that he has to make his dwelling outside of the Jewish camp, the Mishnah Negayim states as follows. What happens if this individual goes into a friend's house? Can he make his friend's house impure? So the Mishnah states, yes, he can make it impure. Rabbi Yehuda says that he can only make it impure if he is there in his friend's house for a period that is longer than the amount of time it takes for the owner of the house to light a candle. So the commentaries explain that we're referring to this individual who walked into his friend's house without permission, and therefore there's a question, can you make it impure without permission? And Rabbi Yehuda is stating that he's lighting a candle and therefore he wasn't able to object. And that's the measurement of time that will determine if the house will become impure. And the commentaries further explain that what type of candle is it that you're lighting that you can interrupt, and it's referring to the candles of Shabbos. So let's understand, this measurement of time being defined of longer than the amount of time it takes to light a candle, which is referring to the Shabbos candles, will apply at any time of the day. Not only when you need a candle, but that's the amount of time that will be the determining factor. So why did the Torah, which everything in the Torah is precise, take an example of a candle to be the one that can negate the ability for the house to become impure? So the Rebbe brings from his father, Reb Levi Yitzchak, Al Pi Kabbalah, the explanation, and it is as follows. It says that a house is referred to as Malchus. On a simple level, it says that a bayis is connected with Malchus, and speech of a person is comprised of words and letters. A house is built up of stones, etc. And therefore it's representative of Malchus, which is Hashem's kingship. Lighting a candle is the idea of drawing down the light of Chachma, the light of wisdom. It says in the pasuk, Ner mitzvah v'Torah Ner, which is a candle, is connected with Hashem's wisdom. So Rabbi Levick explains that in order for a house to have this impurity of Taras, there has to be an absence of the level of Chachma, which Chachma, it says, gives light. Chachma techayas ba'aleh, as the verse states. And therefore, when a house is missing this light of Hashem's wisdom, therefore it has the ability to be susceptible to getting impurity. But over here in our case, where you have a person who is actually lighting a candle, and lighting a candle means that he's drawing down wisdom into the house, therefore there's no possibility to have impurity in the house during this period of time. So that's Al Pi Kabbalah. Let's understand it further. The reason why the Mishnah brings a specific example of lighting a candle, it says that the lighting of Shabbos candles have the ability to illuminate the house and specifically to bring peace in the home. And more particularly, it says the reason why we do it is that a person should have peace in the home by not stumbling on an eitz va'even, which means that a person should not stumble on wood or stone in the house. Now we know that the world is a godly world, but there might be a sense of a disconnect and a gap, and therefore we have Torah mitzvahs, which are there to bridge that gap and to bring godliness into the world, that a person should feel it, a person should feel connected to Hashem, bring godliness into the world. Now particularly, you see this element of bringing godliness into the world and lighting up the world where you have a mitzvah associated with the candle, and that would be the lighting of the Shabbos candles. So Shabbos candles have this ability to bring light into the world and to bring unity and to bring that there should be no disconnect between the godliness that is creating the world and being felt in the world. Now, why is this connected with the Tumah of Tzaras? So it says, the Rambam brings that a person who speaks Lashon Hara from one person to the other, he starts it off by speaking between man, but he ends up and directing it towards God. So it says that that Lashon Hara, which is something that leads to Tzaras, also leads to a person denying the existence of God by going against Hashem with his words. And therefore, the power of the Shabbos candles have the ability to bring this light into the world that should negate the impurity associated with speaking bad between one person and another and speaking and having this tzaras in the world. And this is unique about the Shabbos candles because Shabbos candles are actual mitzvah, and therefore they have this unique ability to bring down this light in the world, and not so for a regular candle, because regular light, it's possible that when you have the lights on and the person can see a person's blemish or they can notice things that will cause disconnect. But you don't have that when it comes to mitzvah. It has a special ability that it brings down peace and unity. And this is also the reason why in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, it says that the light that was in the Beis HaMikdash by the Ner Ma'arabi, the Western Light, was a Eidos L'chol B'ay Elam. It was a testimony to the whole world of Hashem's presence. So the question is, there was many miracles that took place in the temple, and you had miracles that were more visible to common people who weren't able to enter places that were more discreet, like where the menorah was, further in the Beis HaMikdash. So what's unique about the menorah? So the answer is this itself, that it was a candle and it had the ability to bring down the spiritual light into the physical world, and it was felt to everyone. And that's the idea of eidos. Eidos is testimony. You only need testimony on something that's not clearly visible to you. And if something, you see it in front of you, you don't need someone to testify that it exists. You see it. So when you have this candle testifying to the whole world of Hashem's presence, it's bringing down godliness that normally would be concealed in a way that should be felt to everyone. So that's the uniqueness of candles, and that's why the Mishnah specifically brings an example of someone lighting a candle to teach us this idea that through being occupied in lighting a candle and doing a mitzvah, you have the ability to negate any impurity. And what's the lesson for us? The lesson for us is that we have to do it whatever we can, that everyone who is required should actually light Shabbos candles. And more so, not only people who are required, but even young children who are at the age of chinuch should already start lighting Shabbos candles from a very young age, and that will help them when they're older, that they should light candles regardless of the surroundings they're in. And particularly, it says that through lighting Shabbos candles, a person will have scholarly children, and for the women, it says that they will find suitable shidduchim, they will find suitable matches in the right time when it comes time to get married. So may Hashem bless us that, like it says in the pasuk, V'hay Hashem l'chol la'olam, Hashem should be our light. There shouldn't be any more impurity in the world, and only goodness and godliness.